Hi. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. My name is Mary, and I'm excited to talk to you today. And I'm also delighted to be joined by Mike Minton, CMO, coming from, what is that? The Among Us headquarters? What's going on over there, Mike?
Yeah, I know we got a lot to get to. So just a real quick note. So in Seattle, where I'm in the Seattle office, Twitch has a team here and where I've been for many years now. We've named our conference rooms by games that were developed in the Seattle area. So this is, of course, Among Us, developed by Intersloth across the lake in Redmond. So we have other games or other conference rooms like Destiny, Halo, etc.
Oh, that's so cool. I am in our Portland office, which is my house because there is no office here. And I wish I had an Among Us room. That's actually pretty rad. Let
It
me
is my
see what's
favorite.
behind you. Yeah, let me see
I,
like
I,
the
I
art
love to
behind
get
you.
the
There it
what's
is.
wrong way. Sus? Where's the sus?
Yeah,
I
there it
can't.
is.
There we go.
Plus the little bones, when they die, there's just like one bone in their bodies. Very good.
Totally.
Really happy to have you here, Mike. We're going to go over some very important updates. Some of these are very real, and they will affect a lot of streamers here. So we're going to talk about these important update to Twitch subscriptions. Just as a reminder, we are joined by Mike Minton, who is the Chief Monetization Officer at Twitch. If there's anyone who can answer these questions for you, it is him. This is exactly why we're here. So we're going to explain all the changes that are happening, when they're happening, why we're doing this at all, what it means for you and your community. And as always, we will be listening and watching chat. You can, I'm seeing chat moving right now. Please feel free to put your questions in there. We're actually going to move them over so that we can read them for you at the end of the show. So start putting your questions in there. I do see them, and we're happy to answer them. So good best practices, you can use the Twitch Ask extension or send your questions in chat, and you can use the prompt !ask. That just helps us see your question. Chat moves very quickly, so I think it's the best that you hit !ask so that we can see them. Now, let's get into it. There was a blog post that was just released, and I think we will put that link in chat so that you can see it. If you want to review it, side with us. We are updating our prices to subscriptions. We have not done this in a very long time. For those who have not seen it, Mike, please tell us a little bit about what's in this blog.
Yeah. In a long time, literally forever, I think subscriptions launched in 2011, if I understand the lore correctly, and this is the first time that Twitch is increasing prices. So what we're doing, that's outlined in the blog, is for the tier 1 sub, both recurring as well as gift subs in Australia, Canada, and the UK, we're updating the prices effectively one local currency unit. So in Australia, for example, it goes from $7.99 Australian dollars to $8.99. You can see Canada, UK, $3.99 to $4.99 pounds. And so those have been around for a while. This is back to the price it was before we reduced prices via local sub pricing in 21. Now, Turkey is a little bit different. In Turkey, we ended up deciding to change all 3 tiers. And the reason is because if we moved the only the tier 1 sub, then it would have been more than a tier 2 and tier 3 sub. There we go. So these are the new prices in Turkey. And as I said, we're repricing all 3 tiers. Australia, UK, Canada, we're only repricing the tier 1 sub. These price changes will go into effect on March 28th.
Okay. Now, this is obviously very newsworthy. Chat is popping off, asking a lot about why we're doing this. Can you explain about what this means for people watching who may be subscribers already? They're currently subscribed to a creator. What's going to happen on March 28th?
Yeah, so existing subscriptions will automatically renew at the updated price. No action is required to continue the support. Now, of course, we're going to notify via email 1 month prior to the changes taking effect. And for folks that want to unsubscribe, you can, of course, you can unsubscribe at any time. There's no tricks. You don't have to go through a call center. You can do it online. For multi-month, those discounts will still remain. So if you choose to use the multi-month subscription at 3 and 6 months, mobile won't be impacted right away. There's some limitations on mobile in terms of price changes, so those will come later. But really, key thing is, if you want to continue supporting at the increased price, you don't have to do anything. We will notify you. If for some reason, this price change impacts you in a way that you can't continue supporting either a sub or some number of subscriptions, you can cancel at any time online. By clicking on your profile image, choosing subscriptions, get the subscription page, and you can unsubscribe. You'll get your benefits, of course, until the subscription ends, but it's really, up to you in terms of how much you can continue supporting.
And and everybody continues to just receive the sub benefits until its expiration date as usual. So good updates here. How does this affect streamers who have subscribers in Australia, Canada, Turkey, and the UK?
Yeah, let's make sure that I hit it up front that your rev share remains the same. So if you're on the standard agreement, you'll get the rev share 50% of net at the new price. Of course, for those that are becoming eligible for the 60% tier, and we're eligible via the Plus program for the 70% tier, you will get the rev share on the increased price. This is not Twitch's increasing prices and taking all the increase. This is like everything else where we compute it based on the revenue share at the increased price. So, but this really gets to why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because we expect streamers will benefit in terms of being able to continue doing what they love. They will see more increased revenue from subscriptions. You can, in terms of how it will impact streamers is a really good question. The breakout of where your subscriptions come from are in the dashboard. So if you're curious, how many subscribers do I have from Australia? You can go in there. It's a little bit hard to find, but you can actually find your subscriber breakout. So you can kind of take a look and make sure you understand how it impacts you. Let's talk about Prime. It's really important, a little bit confusing because in January, we announced that Prime is moving to a new fixed payout rate as of June 3rd. So for streamers that have subscribers from Australia, Canada, Turkey, and the UK, we will basically continue paying at the current rate. So it's an important detail to understand that with Prime, Prime will stay the same despite the price change in terms of the payout until June 3rd, and then we'll switch to the new model on June 3rd. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it's important to understand that piece. And then, in terms of Plus program and all those things, none of those things have changed in terms of eligibility, and streamers will still qualify. No changes to that.
Thanks for saying that. I'm just going to clarify because I have seen some people not fully understand. Mo on the road said, okay, so wait, you're raising prices, but you're not going to give the streamer any more money? No, that is not correct.
That is incorrect.
The streamer is actually going to be getting more money because with the increase, they will receive more of their money per subscription and gift sub, right? They're getting more money because of that increased payout. The payouts haven't changed in the sense of if you are 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, those are the same. Those percentages haven't changed. It's the increase of the subs. So the streamer gets more money. Nutty Linda also asks, so the streamer gets more? Yes, the streamer gets more as a result of this.
Absolutely. And if we don't accomplish anything in this stream besides people leaving with an understanding that this is to the benefit of streamers and they will earn more money per subscription, I have clearly failed at my job, because that is probably the most important takeaway, is that streamers will earn more. And just to illustrate it with just a painful, simple example, if the current sub price is $5, and you have a standard rev share of net 50, you will get approximately $250, or a little bit less after payments. If the sub price goes to, let's say, $8, just in the interest of doing math that I don't have to stump myself with, your payout will increase to just under $4 net of payments. So that is really, really important to understand, that the rev shares are a percentage of the sales price net of payment costs.
It's very important to understand these nuances. They are important. I saw someone, is their name a random Scott, said, just get Turbo. And it's like, hey, you can, that's a possibility. Turbo still exists, and it is something you can do. With these new sub prices, the streamer is getting a higher share of this as well. So it is a way to support your favorite streamer. If you just hate ads, yes, there is Turbo. So that hasn't changed either. Let's talk a little bit about why you've started with a tier 1 sub and gift sub prices in Australia, Canada, and UK. What are you alluding to here? Like, why did you start here? What does this mean for the rest of us?
Yeah, the price changes are hard. There are unknowns here. We're trying to absolutely do the best job we can to protect streamers from risk, and ensuring that as we make these changes, we fully understand what the impact of these will be. So each of these countries are unique in their own way in terms of why they're part of the initial wave. But what is important about them, whether it's a percentage increase, whether it's a variance in terms of currency exchange rates to the US, whether it's more macroeconomic conditions in a given country, it'll give us more data so that when the price changes change, there's really 3 key things that we're looking for here. I'm off a script a little bit, but I just want to get to it in terms of really making the point as to what we're hoping to learn is, how does this impact people, new subscribers? Do more or less, do the same number of people as a rate of the potential audience continue to subscribe? Do they retain after the first month? Meaning for folks that are in the recurring sub, do they stay? And then on the gift side, do people that gift at 5 subs continue gifting at 5 subs, or do they change to 4 as a consequence? So all these examples are things that we'll be measuring, so that when we make future price changes, we can make adjustments. Maybe, for example, one local currency equivalent isn't the optimal answer in give us data to decide. Maybe it should be a half a local currency, etc. So to help us decide what prices, make any changes we need to make in the next set of countries. These 4 we're reasonably confident in. I want to talk about Turkey real quick, because I know there's a lot of OMG Twitch, 4 times the current price in Turkey. What are you doing? And it's just important to understand that the currency exchange rates between US dollars and Turkey have just, on a year-on-year basis, approximately another 40% down. And that is, on top of further decreases prior to that. Even very, very clear memory of TwitchCon Amsterdam being at, a streamer gathering and having streamers from Turkey like, Mike, this doesn't work. I need 4 subs to buy, Starbucks. And so it just, unfortunately, it's taken us too long to get here, honestly. But this is a reflection of, and just even, I quickly Googled this morning, and look, the price of a Starbucks drip coffee, not even a fancy latte, is about 40 lira from what I could tell online this morning. So this puts us back in, we have different indexes, the cost of coffee index, the Big Mac index, all kinds of indexes. But this puts us back into more comparable to other countries in terms of what the value of a Twitch subscription is. So it's a big change in Turkey. I realize that, but it is unfortunately a consequence of how much the exchange rate has changed over time between US dollars and Turkish liras.
Thank you for going into that explanation, especially with Turkey. It seems really dramatic, and these are, in terms of what we used to see and what they are now, we have to take into account so many different factors of inflation and just 10 years of not increasing prices. So let's talk about that a little bit. I also saw just a thing from Mazito. He should be answering our questions, the people who use the platform. We are. Please put your questions in chat using !ask. We have a pinned chat by Kawaii Guy saying that we have a Q&A. We are answering your questions. We're very eager to answer all of your questions. We're going over the Q&A now, because a lot of times when we do this, the questions you ask, we have already going to answer. So we're going to answer them, and then we will continue to answer any questions and make sure that it's very clear what we're saying. So please put your questions in chat, and we are writing them down diligently right now, and we will get to them. Let's talk about why we are doing this now. Subscriptions have been around for over a decade. They've always been the same cost, Mike. They're a reliable way for viewers to support streamers, and it is a very reliable way for streamers to understand the income that they are going to be receiving on a monthly basis. So it's like a two-factor thing. It's support, but it's consistent income that streamers can depend on. Why are you changing the prices now?
We are changing the prices now because we think it's the best thing for streamers in terms of their ability to keep doing what they love. Clear, without any question, in terms of what we think is in the best interest of streamers. But you've touched on the underlying drivers. Okay, great, Mike. Like, it's good for streamers, but why is it good for streamers? Well, I think everybody's pretty familiar with what's going on in terms of inflation. Everything costs more now, and as a consequence, even buying a loaf of bread or a cup of coffee costs more than they did a year ago. And as I also touched on, in certain markets, the exchange rate between US dollars and Turkish or other currencies, sorry, not specifically just Turkey, have also fluctuated greatly. And so the only way for us to help streamers keep pace with these increased costs and other changes, currency fluctuations, is by updating prices. And we've tried to put this in the context of all the other things we have going on, and you've seen us really focus on the recurring subscription. It's the eligibility for the Plus program. It really is the heart and the foundation of streamer revenue. What do they earn on Twitch? And they can rely and count on that number. Obviously, other things, viewer support comes and goes at times based on things that may or may not be in your control. And getting folks focused on the recurring sub as kind of that base of support is what we've been really focused on, and we're going to continue to do that. Increasing the sub prices here really is, an acknowledgement of that in terms of the importance. And then, I'll obviously, if it's good for streamers, it's good for Twitch. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Twitch isn't going to benefit if streamers benefit, but it's also true in reverse. If we get it wrong, bad for Twitch, very bad for Twitch at scale, like millions of streamers, literally. So it is, something that we're trying to be as thoughtful as we can as we roll it out, get as much data, and make sure that if we need to make changes, we can make changes. We talk about reversible or non-reversible. If for some reason we're completely surprised in terms of customer behavior, we have reserved the option to make adjustments in these countries as well as countries that may change in the future.
Can you share a little bit more about what we can expect in the future, especially with you starting with additional countries and only a tier 1 sub? Are we alluding to anything here? What is your assumption for what we're going to see for the rest of the year, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been too elusive here in terms of saying this is wave 1, and there will likely be more to come. Informed by the results we see here. But, we're continuing to invest in a product. It's just really an ongoing thing for us to continue working on. They may seem small in the grand scheme of things, but, making alerts even better, innovating within that recognition loop in that space, emote slots, making sure that communities have what they want in terms of both static and animated emotes to have a robust language to be able to engage together, grow. Promotions are a big thing. We've done September. We added the end of year bonus round. We're looking at new things. We actually had a meeting this morning on what we may do in the next coming months in terms of introducing yet another large promotion. So, there's really nothing, hopefully too much hidden here behind the curtains. We're doing all the things that we're going to do in terms of trying to focus on improving our products, make them work better for streamers, and then doing things like price changes and promotions also as needed in the interest of streamers. Yeah,
the pricing promotions that have happened in the last few years have been really successful. People love September. Last year, we did something called end of year bonus round, which was really successful. In your opinion, because those were successful, we'll be doing more of them, and people can expect to see more opportunities like that in the future, Mike?
Yeah, we are absolutely looking at new things. We're learning a lot. Every time we do one, we learn something new in terms of what works and what works well or what doesn't work. And we'll continue experimenting and, little simple things like more rewards and more fun and more hype train, rewards, more hype train theming, all those little things in context of a promotion can be really, really fun for the community to rally around, and ultimately, again, streamers benefit in terms of increased support.
Yeah. I've also seen a lot of people in chat say, you're increasing the price, but like, what are we getting out of it? There has been a lot of updates recently, new emote slots, new animated emotes, expanding alerts functionality. All that stuff is an added value from something we did not have 10 years ago. So it is a big deal. And just to reiterate, there is still the 10% discount for 3-month subs and a 15% discount for 6-month subs. So there's still this ability to get discounts based on how long your sub is to a streamer. Now, Mike, you mentioned that there will be more pricing updates. Why wouldn't you just do it all at the same time? Why not just like one big wave?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a bit in terms of managing risk and getting more data to make sure we're making, good changes that benefit the majority of streamers. The other factor is just price changes are hard. These are not things that we do a lot. We did reduce prices again, as I acknowledged in 2021 in certain markets. But it's as you know, you can buy subs in every country in the world, almost literally. It's a lot of systems behind the scenes that support that. Of course, there's mobile. So there really honestly is just a lot to do to roll out a change like this. We try to do it in pieces, again, just like we did with local sub pricing, to try to make sure that we have everything covered. We're not surprised. We don't, uncover any issues from the system side, customer side, and just try to be as thoughtful as we can in terms of making these changes, both expediently, but while trying to reduce the downside for everyone involved.
I think that's really fair. A lot of times when we make updates like this, there is the concern, hey, there's way more coming. Why wouldn't you just do it? And the simple answer is if we did them all at once, there could be a cataclysm of changes that would impact so many different people. And it would be hard to isolate specifically what the community did not like or what wasn't working. Doing them in small waves allows us to really understand what's impacting the community in a positive or negative way, and then adjust that moving forward. So this is a good thing that we're doing it in increments so that there's less chance that we're making an update that very dramatically harms anybody, because the reason that we would do this is ultimately to benefit streamers. This is a huge part of why we're doing this. I want to ask something about what you mentioned earlier, the Partner Plus program. Can you explain how you bringing up the Partner Plus program is involved in the monetization updates that you're making today?
Yeah, well, first, now the Plus program, because we are making everybody eligible in terms of affiliates and partners. And I believe we're now in the first full month of eligibility for the new 60/40 tier at 100 plus points. So that is, for those of you that are in that program, that's awesome. Or close to eligibility, of course, June hitting. And so, just trying to put this in context, and Dan's talked about this as well in different forums, is we've created what we see as a long-term sustainable framework that makes sense. And what do I mean by that? Okay, Mike, what does that mean? Like, we think, we've seen great engagement with the ads program we launched in terms of streamers are now running ads. Streamers are now acknowledging that ads are really an important part of what they do in terms of being able to support them. Now on the paid subscription side, we talked about Prime and making sure that was available in here for the long term, made some major changes to that program to ensure that. We've decoupled paid and Prime, and what you're seeing now is what we softly alluded to back in January, that we now have the flexibility to increase prices where it makes sense. And so it's just really a kind of a series of changes that are all related around what we see as the right long-term answer for the community in having access to higher rev share percentages through the Plus program in a real transparent, consistent, objective way. This many points equals get in the program. This many points for this many months, get in the program for 12 months, maintain that eligibility. And then, as I said, making the pricing and the Prime changes all in a way that, work for hopefully streamers and work for us for a long, long time.
Thanks for going over all the details for the payouts. Now, there was also a change to the Prime sub payouts. When does that begin?
So June 3rd is the specific answer to your question, Mary. When does that begin? It is, and what is the change? The change is basically Prime sub payouts were roughly equivalent to a paid sub payout. Now it moves to a flat rate that is published, and streamers will see, based on the country of the viewer, what the Prime sub payout will be. So again, it's all in the interest of it. There's often so many questions in the community like, I'm getting paid X. Why am I getting paid X? I don't understand it. And part of it was in terms of some of the computation and lack of visibility into what a Prime sub payout may have been in a given country. So we've moved to this model where it is clear, it's published. You can go look it up. We've shared which countries your subscribers are from. You can go figure out, and just, again, trying to increase the transparency and visibility here of earnings, but importantly, recognizing that it is a big change to the Prime sub in terms of the payout, but we're doing that, again, in the interest of making sure that that benefit is there and sustainable for the long run.
I think it's important to go over an update that also happened to a lot of Twitch staff. There was a layoff last month. What can you say to people who are concerned about the future of Twitch, considering that there's been significant cuts internally and that we're raising prices externally?
Yeah, layoffs suck. I mean, it was, I know, for everybody involved, impacted, and here, a moment that is just horrific in terms of the jarring and the unfortunate impact of having to make those type of changes. And it's it makes the community feel uncertain. Like, is Twitch going to be here? And what we're doing collectively as a leadership team, and Dan, again, Clancy has talked about this consistently, is ensuring that we're here for the next 50 years. So all of these things are in the context of that long-term vision of again, being a service that our children's children will be on someday in terms of streaming and creating content and building communities. Our interests are aligned. We want to be here. Streamers obviously want us to be here, driving revenue for them. So you can look at both sides of it. So we did the headcount reduction to decrease costs, to ensure that we're running Twitch as efficiently as possible. So that as we increase rev share and things like the Plus program, it is honestly a shift from that cost to a rev share payout. And again, in the macro, not in a specific way, but in just kind of looking at the company in terms of what the costs are. And on the revenue side, the price change is a part of increasing revenue, honestly, because streamers will make more money, Twitch will make more money, and so you put these things together, reducing cost in terms of the cost of running the service, making it as efficient as we can, helping streamers make more money, by in which Twitch earns their share, very much interest aligned. We're in this together, growing advertising revenue, advertising payouts. And all these things are done in a way that, like, okay, this makes sense. We will be, the Twitch for your, as I said, your grandchildren.
What else do you think, Mike, is important for our streamers to know before we start getting into questions?
I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We know that there's going to be concerns like, will less people subscribe? Will people change their gifting behavior? Will people stop in DNR, do not renew? So, we're looking at all these things. We don't expect there's going to be price sensitivity. There's a relatively, again, on a relative basis, a smaller, let's see, what's a good way to say it? We have some very generous community members that, drive a large portion of creator earnings. That's amazing. We don't expect that there will be much sensitivity from these amazing supporters, and that they'll largely continue doing what they've always done. We do know that, there will be folks that will say, hey, I support 6 streamers today, and I can now only afford to support 5. And so the question is, what percentage of people will change and make a change in their subscribing behavior? Or for people that are only supporting one streamer today, how many of them will just DNR and no longer support, or shift to bits, or other ways of supporting that they may do off service. So we're going to try to keep an eye on all these things, and as I said, we can make adjustments. We can obviously, we don't do it often, but if we need to, we can make more adjustments to price if things go in a way that we don't expect. And then, we'll still keep the multi-month. It does provide to, just being, I guess, somewhat obvious about it, but like the price change happens on March 28th. You can certainly go get a 6-month subscription on March 25th and, lock in at the current price if that's really important to you, and also get the 15% discount. So there's also, that's still available for folks that, are really concerned in terms of their ability to support at this higher price point.
Now, when we talk about increasing prices, naturally people are going to be frustrated, right? Nobody wants to pay more money, right? That's just a natural assumption, and that is expected. Yes, I hear you completely. A lot of people have mentioned in chat that this is going to increase their interest in Turbo. When people want an ad-free viewing experience and may not be able to subscribe to multiple channels. Does Turbo compete with channel subs?
I certainly don't think so. And the reason I say that is because our Turbo subscribers are our most generous channel subscribers, our most generous bit supporters. And so when you're looking at Turbo, the customer there, this isn't I'm going to, like, we talk about the channel sub having ad free, but for someone that is watching a lot of Twitch, they're watching a lot of channels. And so what Turbo does is enables them to have the ad-free experience they want, to try more channels, experience more communities, and ultimately they end up subscribing more as a consequence of being able to have the viewing experience they want on Twitch. And it's very, we look at this stuff. We look at, like, obviously we increased the price of Turbo last year in many markets, not all markets, but, Turbo continues to grow. So we're always looking at questions like, are people changing their habits? Are they reducing their channel subs and moving over to Turbo? And at least to date, there's no evidence to suggest that there's any type of people changing their behavior, because the value prop is different. And I continue to try to reemphasize this. The people that are using a channel subscription care about you, want to be part of your community, use the language of the community, support you as a creator. And that's what channel subscriptions do. And that's always been the magic of channel subscriptions. That's unique. Turbo doesn't do that. Turbo provides an ad-free viewing benefit. Great. But, when we've done surveys, both type of user research type stuff, sit people in a room and talk to them, qualitative, and go send surveys out and ask them, it's like the reason to subscribe and the reason to use Turbo are different. And it's a different motivation. And, it isn't a substitution. Again, at least with the data we've seen, we're always going to continue asking this question and looking at it, because the last thing I want is for people to have this idea that we're competing with their channel subscriptions. People don't subscribe to channels for ad-free. I know it's a benefit, and I know it's often talked about. And certainly in some channels that can seem like the most important thing, but they want to be part of the community. And that's what a channel sub is.
Yeah, and this is a part of the knowledge that we're getting when we make these types of updates and review the community. Our data shows that creators ultimately are getting subs because viewers want to support them and show them that they are a part of that community. And you get some tangible benefits to that. You get subs, there are badges, you get ad-free viewing, but ultimately a lot of it is the ability to say, I'm a part of this community and I'm supporting this creator. And that matters to the creator. It's why they get notifications, and it's why they say your name and celebrate you as a part of their community. So that is a huge part of what our ecosystem is. If you're mostly interested in an ad-free experience, Turbo does exist. But I think it's important to understand that there is a very clear difference in our community of why you would sub to a creator. So that's one of the things that we're talking about. Now, let's talk about the dates so that creators who are listening and viewers can understand exactly when these changes will happen, because they're not happening today. There's time. And you get more information. There'll be emails and things to ensure that everybody's aware of what's going on. But tell us a little bit about the important dates that everyone should be aware of.
Yeah, the big ones are the notification will happen next week via email. And then we'll remind viewers, subscribers that that prices will change on March 28th. The Expanded Plus program begins in May. I might have stated that wrong earlier. I'm glad we came back to it. Eligibility was February, March, April, taking effect in May. And then the Prime sub payout changes to a fixed rate happen in June. So certainly a busy time of year. But Wave 1 price changes, again, March 28th. Expanded Plus program access at the begins in May. That's both the reduction at the 70% tier and the access of the new 60% tier. It happens in May, based on eligibility in Feb, March, and April. And then the Prime sub payout changes take effect on June 3rd.
Okay, so there's all the dates. We're going to keep that up just for a second, just to make sure you can see them and know. And we are just about to get to all of your questions. Thank you for sending them in. I'm looking at them right now. Minton, before we get into everyone's questions, where can people find more information about this? If they just tuned in and they missed it and they didn't even know this was happening, where can everybody get all this information and just have it forever?
Start with the blog post.
Blog
post. blog.twitch.tv, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on the URL. Somebody hopefully will jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. But go to the Twitch blog. That'll hop you off and have links to help pages and relevant additional details based on the audience, etc. But start with the blog. Good place to start.
I agree. Please check out the blog. Read up. You can always find more information in your dashboard. We do look at user voice. If you have updates or you have ideas, thoughts about what's going on here, use user voice. I have utilized user voice before to showcase what the community is passionate about, what they're excited about, what they're frustrated about. Use user voice. It's a really good way for us to see what the community is saying and have numbers behind it. So that's very valuable to me. And then the last thing I'll say is that this channel that you're watching right now, /Twitch, goes live and will continue to go live with updates answering your questions. So I encourage you to follow the channel. That way, when we do have another announcement about something that's going on with Twitch, you'll be the first to know. So I would follow /Twitch if you're not currently. Now, let's get to some questions. We got a lot of them. I expect to get a lot of them. And I think it's worth getting into as many as we have time for. Mike, are you ready?
Yeah, we're here. We're going to get through as many questions as we can. I just want to make a quick note here, though. There's probably a product marketing comms person in the background banging their head against the table going, Mike, why didn't you say the help center instead of the blog? So the blog's a good starting point, which will link you to the help center. But if you want to get the prices by country, streamer payouts, etc., in your dashboard, don't forget about your dashboard. If you want to see your current rev shares and that, go into your dashboard. So I just wanted to go back and re-answer the start with the blog question, because I had scanned down and saw that I had answered that incorrectly.
No, I think that's true. I mean, the blog is a good way to let the news out, right? How do people find out about this pricing update? Twitter, probably. And then that leads to a blog share where we're getting that news out there. But for news that impacts you specifically, your dashboard will always have the most up-to-date information because we're trying to ensure that Creator Home has all the up-to-date information that you'll need, plus other things that are going on in the Twitch ecosystem. For example, TwitchCon, right? Like there's a call for content right now. So there's a lot of stuff. We try and keep it in Creator Home. So you're right. Check out your dashboard to have that up-to-date information. All right, question 1. So as a Brit, my subs are going up 25% at the end of March. Why do my spidey senses tell me the streamers I sub to won't see a cent of that 25% price hike? Mike.
Wow. I appreciate the skepticism.
Yes.
I really do. And I know that, we will, well, let me just say this. That is not what is happening. Streamers have a revenue share agreement, and it varies from the standard terms to the Plus program, which has a 60 and 70% net of payments payout. So the way we compute streamer payouts is using the rev share on a per streamer basis. So if the price increases, the percentage rev share will be at the new higher price point. I used an example earlier in the stream. If you're on a standard 50% net example, sub price is $5, streamer got just under $2.50. If the price goes to $8, streamer would get just under $4. So this is not Twitch raising the price and taking all the money, although I appreciate that you might suspect that we would do that. That's not what we're doing. Now, there's this other part of it, which is Twitch is going to make more money. Well, if it's good for streamers, it's also good for Twitch, but it has to be good for streamers. As I said, and this gets to the other side of it, it's bad for streamers, it's bad for Twitch. So our interests are very aligned here.
So just to be clear, your spidey sense was a little off here. The percentage changes are the same. They have not changed. So if the price of a sub goes up, then the payout to the creator also goes up. Yeah. Space Boy Infinite asks, if the price is up or down, it will affect the amount we get paid for subs. Oh, okay, it's a very similar question, so I'm just going to burn through it. When we increase the price of a sub, the streamers will make more per sub. Same question, but it is good to be very, very clear. The payouts are the same. So if we increase the price of a sub, the streamer makes more. That is the result of this. Moonberry, why are you increasing sub prices now? We answered this a little bit, but I think you can maybe dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be just blunt about it to maybe more than I should, but like the Prime thing, we had to solve the Prime coupling problem. We would have increased prices. I used the example from Turkey a long time ago, meaning probably a year ago, if we could have. The challenge is the coupling between paid and Prime created a condition where we couldn't increase prices because it wouldn't be good in terms of the long run sustainability of both. So we decoupled Prime, which now created the ability for us to increase paid sub prices, again, in the interest of streamers to make more money. So the timing there was a sequence of things that needed to happen, make the Prime announcement and change. We felt comfortable we could start making price changes before the Prime impact was fully rolled out. That's why you got the sequence of why now. Well, we needed to do the Prime thing in January. It's now end of February. Price change will take effect. First wave end of March, and then the Prime sub payouts happen in June. So it's very much in that bigger set of changes in terms of why now. But that's like what's the sequence here? But the other answer to this is why now is also a consequence of just, again, the currency fluctuation, inflation, kind of macroeconomic conditions. I would argue we're late, set aside all of our own internal issues with sequencing. I think from a streamer perspective, you look across the world, prices have increased on almost everything. Every other, I'm not comparing us to Netflix, but go look at your Netflix price from 2 years ago versus what it is today. I realize different value proposition, different service, but like it is at least a digital streaming service, at least in the realm of like comparable things that we do. All these things have gone up in price. So it is very much a function of, as I said, the sequence of things we needed to do to talk to the community about our long-term plans for these things. And then the second is, kind of the point where the combined impact of currency and inflation are such where it is very much feel a sense of urgency to act now.
I'm going to throw in this comment from Valiant because I think it's interesting, which is in 2021, Twitch lowered UK prices to €3.99. And there was an association that affordable prices would encourage viewers to become subscribers. There was like a recession, and so that was in consideration. What do you say to a comment like that? I mean, I guess something that's important to understand is that these things are always in flux, and prices can change based on current economic situations. So although we don't have any additional announcements today, these things can change, can't they, Mike?
They absolutely can. And it's just, I think the real answer here is we probably should change prices in both directions more often. There's always this balance between price changes are hard, both up and down. They have big changes to the ecosystem. But sometimes by not changing prices very often, you end up creating these long periods where things are non-optimal, to use a fancy word. And, let's talk about the UK specifically, and particularly Europe is really a challenging when you think about pricing. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to represent this in a way that like fully probably, appreciates the complexity and detail here, but we're kind of constrained to a single price point within the EU economic region. And so you end up with prices that maybe, and we put UK in that bucket when we did the reduction back then. I realize now Of course, UK is not part of the EU, but just for context and history, we price them the same. And I think if you look across different countries, you can see where local subpricing worked really well. I mean, there's some markets, I would use Spain and Italy maybe as good examples, where it did absolutely have the intended impact of being more affordable for more people to become community members and support. There are other countries, I think UK is a good example, where the price point wasn't optimal. And so as a consequence, more people were able to subscribe, but streamers didn't feel like they saw a big increase in the community or in a way that like resulted in their earnings going up substantially. So this is in some ways fixing some of that disparity on a country by country basis. We were pretty reasonably confident, because we're going back to a price we had before, that streamers will benefit quite a bit from UK viewers as a result of this. It seems like a relatively low risk change, and puts that country back to where it's more comparable from an earnings perspective, or GDP, or whatever the fancy word is, earnings, or how far does your dollar go? The other thing I'll just comment on, we do look at this many different lenses. We have big brain people that are economists and like look at a whole bunch of data, and both internal and external, and look at how things are performing in terms of the percentage of people that spend, how often they spend, retain, those kind of things. And then we just do kind of simple heuristics. We talk to people, we find out like, what's the price of a Big Mac in Turkey, or a pack of cigarettes, and we use all these inputs from the community as well as more quantitative, and try to make decisions that we think are optimal in terms of pricing. But it is hard. It's super hard.
It is hard. I know you mentioned earlier you were comparing prices to a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and people were like, I don't want to use my money on Starbucks. It's not really why he said that. He's using that to contextualize how prices in different countries is complicated, and he's using an item that could be comparable, right? A cup of coffee at a Starbucks or your coffee shop, just to give some kind of understanding of the balance, that the price here isn't the exact same in other countries. So it's just a way to help contextualize it. I do want to mention, there was also a comment from It Be Senna. They're like, I'm not sure what countries were changing again. I also saw a question from Obsidian Heart. Which countries will be affected? It's Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom, and Turkey was announced today. Those were the ones. There is no updates to the US at this time.
Yeah. And an important thing too is the pricing is viewer side pricing. So if you're a streamer and pick a country, you may or may not have subscribers from each of these countries. Go to your dashboard to go figure out how many subscribers you have from each of these countries. But these are viewer set. These are not channel set. And, I think the other thing, just in terms of like, I'm a streamer and like, what do I tell my community? And I think it's important. Like, I would start with, I don't control prices. Twitch sets prices. Twitch sets the prices for you based on a variety of factors that we just talked about. And that's an important thing maybe we didn't highlight enough too, in terms of how do I as a streamer manage this with my community? And you could certainly echo any of the talking points I shared about, the impact of currency, inflation, etc. But at the end of the day, for you as a streamer, Twitch made this decision for me.
Correct. I think that's a really good thing to reiterate for streamers who are watching, right? Twitch sets the prices. It's not in the streamer's control. Don't go into a streamer's channel and say that this is their fault, or that you can be mad about it. Of course you can be mad about it. I understand if you're mad about it, but do understand that Twitch sets those prices. It's not the streamer's control, and it's not their fault. We generally expect that the cost change going up-ish $1 will still be understandable for many people, not everyone. And we do understand that, and we can't tell you what to do with your money and your own financial situations. But generally speaking, we consider over the range of 10 years, $1 to be still reasonable for many people. And we're going to continue to offer 10% off 3-month subs and 15% off 6-month subs. And we will continue to do discount events like September in other times of the year. So there will still be benefits and promotions to help offset these costs. Like, those things will not stop.
Great point.
Those are just things to keep in mind. But I do really want to empathize with everybody. Price increases are not fun. They're not something I expect you to be excited about. That's completely understandable, but please be considerate of your streamers. This was not their call. Echo Motion asks, will this impact the price of Turbo?
We made the Turbo price change last, I forget exactly when. It's been 6-9 months now, I think. It renewed in September, I remember. It was a big event. So it is not, so to answer your question specifically, it does not impact the price of Turbo in terms of these changes. This is the channel subscription. Turbo, we manage the pricing of separately, as I just indicated, in terms of we adjusted it in certain markets last summer. And these two things are not related in terms of this announcement.
Good to know. Kathy Bean in chat, you said you need to have more Q&A streams, just saying, and you highlighted it. Yes, I agree. You know who really loves doing these Q&A streams is Dan Clancy. He's a huge fan of them. I suspect that he will be doing more of these, not less of them. We will be seeing more of Mike Minton, not less. We also do a show called Patch Notes, which will be live this week, and Twitch Public Access. These are all Twitch information shows. So there's lots of opportunities for you to hear from Twitch staff on why we're doing what we're doing, the plans for the future, why and when we're making the decisions we're making, and also just give you a human to talk to. It does not feel good to learn about some of these updates via a tweet or a blog. It feels very faceless and like there wasn't anyone who really thought about you during those decisions. We're here to help express that, answer your questions live, and hear you. Every comment that's in this chat, I mean, there's a lot, but I'm scrolling through them and I'm reading them, and we really do read the notes that you're saying in here, and we do care. So we appreciate you being here and listening to us and writing in your questions. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you being here. Now we have another question that we saw in chat, and I think a couple people said it, so we don't have a very specific person, Mike, but a couple people have said, did the price in Canada go up a few years ago?
Yeah, that's one of the fun things with Twitch is there's so many things going on in the world. So we did not change the price in Canada. However, the Canadian government added a tax on digital goods back in 2021. So it resulted in subscribers paying more money as a consequence of that tax, but the streamers didn't see an increase in their payouts, unfortunately. We comply as we can with local taxes and fees and all the things that we have to do to sell a digital good in a given country, but we didn't increase the price in Canada. There was an additional tax. Streamers didn't benefit from that price change. They will benefit from this price change.
Okay, so does not feel good that a tax that we did not control went up and impacted our users being able to sub in Canada. That's not great. And I did see a lot of people in chat saying, great, now this is on top of it. The difference is one of these we did not have control over. Canada made a tax increase and we could not change that. And the other major one is that tax increase didn't benefit streamers at all. And this one does, because streamers get more money from this exchange. So I agree, that sucks. I'm not a big fan of that. And that's kind of the facts with it. There's really no good answer to that, but that is the honest answer. Storm EH15 asks, how will this affect people who renewed their 6-month sub with a streamer recently? This is a great question. We did talk about this. Mike, let's go over this one more time for people who just renewed their 6-month sub or thinking about renewing a 6-month sub, because we haven't increased the price yet.
Yeah, your price will not change until the period ends. So if you bought a 6-month sub in April, and it renews in May, June, July, August, September. I think I got that right. The price won't take effect. The change won't happen until that point. And then, as I talked about earlier, if you want to keep the current price for a little while longer, one way to do that is to go get a 6-month sub with the additional 15% discount, so actually even lower than the current price, and you'll maintain that price until those 6 months are over. So. Good options. We're not changing within a current, multi-month sub period. Price change will take effect after.
Correct. So if you want to get the most out of the current, you can. There are options, just so you're aware of them. Supa Philly 0 asks, will auto renew be turned off for people impacted?
We are not turning off auto renew. Actually, we think that would be quite harmful to streamers because we expect most people will renew. You will receive an email, though, 30 days before your sub renews. So if you need or want to not renew, I forget the proper term, unsubscribe, you can do that. It's not hidden. We don't make you call in. You can actually go click on your profile, go to subscriptions, and do not renew your subs easily. So we are emailing you. Please go in and do not renew if you don't want to continue supporting it, the additional thing. The reason we didn't turn off auto renew is that would be very bad for streamers because we fully expect, based on all of our data research, etc., that most people will continue supporting.
I also think it's on par with other streaming services. Like you said, we have different benefits. So this is a loose connection, but when other streaming services increase their prices, they also don't stop auto renew. They notify you so that you can make an informed purchasing decision. So this is on par with other streaming services. It's not wild that we wouldn't turn it off. You can make that decision on your own. You can also think about how many people you're subscribed to. It's good to take a look at it and think about that. So it's a good time to look at your subs and make those decisions for yourself. Let's see. Moonberry asks, when is the price starting? It's March 28th, 2024. So about a month and a week-ish. The end of next month, March 28th is when that will happen. Phil's fan BH3 asks, if you got gifted a sub for multiple months, does it cost the higher gifter extra or what? I'm a little confused. Right. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just a funny way to say it. If you got gifted a sub for multiple months, does it cost the gifter extra?
If you have a multi-month gift sub, it's kind of the same thing. The price doesn't change for the gifter. They already paid it. The streamer will earn their payouts as the months go by. Nothing will change in terms of the purchase price or the payout on those subs. It's just like a multi-month effectively. It's just there's another person involved.
Okay, thank you. Storm EH15 asks, are you planning on implementing the same pricing update for bits based on country? That's a really good question because we're only talking about subs here. Can you be very clear? Is this impacting bits or any other form of a way to support your creator?
Yeah, bits are fun. We do change bits prices from time to time. The thing that makes bits fun is the value of a bit is 100% anchored to US dollar 0.01 penny, basically. So every bit is worth a penny. The things that drive us to change prices on bits, which we have done and we've done in the past, we've done it actually not that long ago, is currency exchange really only. Because the price of or the value of bits are fixed, there isn't really an economic like inflation argument here. There's no bits, hopefully for viewers, are supporting at higher levels of bits. And it kind of more controlled by the viewer than in this case Twitch, because we set pricing back in 2016, I think it was, in terms of being anchored to a penny, US dollar penny. So currency exchange is a factor, and then anything else out of our control in terms of taxes or mobile fees, etc.
And just to be clear, no, we're not making any changes to the price of bits as a part of today's update. It's not connected. I think that you're giving them a lot of information.
Thank you, Mary, for being clear.
I think it's very good information. The answer is no. There's no updates to bits, just the subs in the countries that we mentioned. Yes. Music and VG asks, as a streamer, I feel like the new Turbo subscription is making it less likely for people to subscribe to individual channels. Now, Mike, you talked about this a little bit before. There's always this kind of general concern that Turbo competes with streamers and could harm the ecosystem for our creators to make solid revenue. You did talk about it, but maybe briefly. I think it's important to just go over your thoughts on how this change might impact whether or not people want to use Turbo.
Yeah, we look at this monthly. we look and try to determine if there is change in viewer behavior, aka do turbo subscribers, are they decreasing their channel subs? We look at this regularly. All the data I have so far suggests that this is not happening at any level that is impacting streamers. Like, is there one person in the world that's done this? Probably true. Are there a few people? Yes. But are they doing it at a rate where channel subs are becoming less desirable in a way that we think is going to be negative to streamers? Absolutely not. The other thing to add on this is the pure number of people that are turbo subscribers are orders of magnitude smaller than the number of people that are channel subscribers. So this, and that number, it grows, and, people value and love turbo, but you're looking at like a really small number of people that are some of the most engaged and highest spending people on Twitch versus channel subscribers. I can't even put my hand up here. Like, it's so many orders of magnitude more people that are channel subscribers that to see that type of like change in behavior, you would have to like 10x the amount of turbo subscribers. And it's just not, that's not happening.
Okay, so like generally what we're seeing with your data is no, it's not eating into streamers' revenue, because when you subscribe to a creator, you're doing it to support that creator. You're doing that to be a part of their community. You get exclusive emotes. You can get badges. There's like lots of things that you're doing that benefit you. So we do not generally see that trend. But as Mike says, he looks at the data, and that's why we're doing these in incremental changes, because based on the data, he can make additional changes. We don't want turbo to hurt streamers. So we just want options. There are people among us that are saying, hey, I just want to enjoy lots and lots of channels on Twitch, and I don't like ads. Yep. This is the option for you. So it's a very unique case. It is a specific person. They're out there. There are turbo people in chat. I know there are. This is for you, but it's not everybody. And there are motivations to subscribe to your favorite creator. So I think it's just important to say these things are in flux. They can change, and you are monitoring the data, Mike, so that you can continue to make those changes. I have one more question for you. I think that it's probably on a lot of people's minds, so it is worth asking. Queen, I'm going to say it's Pib, asks, is there an increase to US pricing coming this year?
Let me say it this way. Probably yes. Exactly what it will be is maybe still an open question, and I'll connect it back to why are we doing these certain countries in this order, and starting it, that exact decision of how much will be informed by the results of Wave 1. And I will say, again, just stating the obvious, connecting dots here, the Canadian price increase, if you look at the Canadian to US dollar ratio today, it's about 0.75. And you've seen us increase the price. And Canada and US currency they track very closely together. So again, just, stating what may be obvious to some people, those things are pretty well connected. It is extremely likely we will see a US price increase, working on the details as to what the increase will be and when. And, obviously that's a big change in terms of the community and the ecosystem. So we're using Wave 1 to make sure we get that right, and then we'll roll it out when we feel confident we have the right answer as to what the price should be, and make any adjustments we need to based on what we learned in Wave 1. So I guess so much for going out on a high note. We'll go out on everybody in chat now is going, it's coming in the US, and I am basically acknowledging that is very likely true.
Well, to be honest with you, it's a question that we saw. Queen Pib asked it, but I think it's on top of a lot of people's minds, and I would rather be as transparent as we can. That's why we're doing this. Like, let's be transparent about it. Let's prepare you for it. Let's talk about it, and let's explain why. I don't expect, again, people to be excited or happy about a lot of these changes. The point is that we're making them with the business and streamers in mind. It is something that we want to work for everybody. And so this is the most honest update that we can give you. We really do appreciate you being here. I think there's still a lot of other questions. We are at time. Eve LOL asks, Twitch in 2022 offered $20 off $100 Twitch gift cards for Prime Day during September and stuff like that. You haven't planned out September yet, probably fully, but like, do you ever plan on doing stuff like that where you give like some money off of gift cards and things like that, Mike?
I would say it's within the range of options that we consider. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, there's one out of left field I wasn't expecting. I know
that one wasn't approved. I just read it.
We do look at opportunities to do those type of things, but no specific plans I can share at this point. Thanks for the idea. But community always remembers is the amazing thing. Like, you did this thing back in this point, and like, you gonna do it again? It's like, I don't know, maybe.
Popular things do come back. And so I think that that's really possible, but I don't think we fully set up all the different value adds that were going to be happening at September. There's other opportunities, like we did the bonus round last year. There's other opportunities to do that. So more coming with what we will plan to be doing for various benefits and discounts coming at you. I promise there is more coming there. Mike, I think this kind of brings us to the end of this stream. I want to remind everybody that there is a lot of information in the blog. So if you just joined and you're not exactly sure what's going on, please check out the blog, check out your streamer dashboard. And as Mike mentioned, there will be an email sent to everyone universally explaining what's going on so that this is very clear. I encourage you to follow /Twitch so that you are notified the next time we go live, because we have a lot going on. For example, we'll be covering this topic again on patch notes tomorrow. So there's a lot of people who were writing comments and questions in here. We couldn't get to them all. We're doing comments and questions again on patch notes tomorrow at noon Pacific time. So check out patch notes tomorrow. We will see you there for more questions. And Mike, I just want to thank you very much for taking your time to answer all these questions, go over this in depth, and hang out with chat for an hour. I appreciate you, Mike.
Thank you. Can I just say, just to leave you with my last thoughts here, is we are doing this because we believe it is good for streamers. It is, if it's good for streamers, it's good for Twitch. And last thing is, Twitch is not pocketing the entire price increase. Streamers will earn more money. Again, I'm making point 1 and point 3 as clear as I possibly can, because I know there remains a lot of skepticism that Twitch is going to jack up the price and not share with streamers. That is not what we're doing. We're increasing the price. Streamers will benefit. This because we believe it's good for streamers. If it's good for streamers, it's good for Twitch. If it's bad for streamers, it's bad for Twitch. So I just want to kind of just leave my exit, I guess, points here quite clear in terms of we're not taking it all, and we expect streamers will benefit.
I think that's a great thing to remind people of. The split is the same. Nothing has changed. So if a streamer has a 50-50 split, a 60-40 split, a 70-30 split, they are getting that increase as well. So it's a good takeaway. And also just be aware that we are listening and we are monitoring the results of what happens so that we can take that into account when we talk about future changes. Nothing is set in stone here. Nothing is permanent. We are listening to your feedback, but we're also observing the trends in people's spending, right? And so if this is what we're predicting, which is like, this will be okay, and streamers and creators will still be interested in supporting their favorite creators through this change, that this will be mutually very beneficial. And streamers are essentially going to be making more money per payout as well. So we'll be monitoring it, and we are listening to you, and we're looking for your feedback. So thank you very much for spending the time on this stream with us, listening to us, commenting at us, sending us your questions. Please tune into Patch Notes tomorrow at noon PT for more information. Mike, any other last thoughts? What are you doing? Just want to say thank you very much for being on here again, and we just appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you taking us through this as an amazing professional streamer host, reading chat, asking questions, getting us to a good time with the community in terms of answering their questions. So thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to do this, and I appreciate your time, Mike, to do this and answer everything. Like, this is a huge part of what we do here. I acknowledge very much that this is a serious thing that impacts so many of you very deeply. I am listening, and we are very interested in hearing your feedback. So please continue to give it to us, and please continue to monitor /Twitch so we can tell you all the up-to-date information about what's going on here. We appreciate you and your time, and there'll be more info tomorrow on patch notes. So I will leave you with that. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.